Hello, guys. This is Gerardo Sprue, and we are in our first ever football podcast. We have yet to have named this podcast, but we are gonna see how good we're gonna do at this, and see if we can provide you with daily content of our opinions of NFL football primarily, and we may touch on college football every once in a while. Talk about some big games, but we coming up with a daily schedule of on Mondays, we're going to talk about what we saw in the previous action of Sunday football, maybe about the Thursday night game if we can remember that much. And we're going to do our predictions of the Monday night football game. Tuesdays, we're going to talk about the Monday night football game. And as of today, we're going to talk about the Monday night game of the Texans and Chargers and the Redskins and Eagles. And we're going to give you our team of the week, that's spelled WEEK, and then also our other team of the week, which is WEAK, a team that needs to step up or is just complete garbage. And also we're going to give you our MVP of week 1 and the two offensive and defensive rookie of week 1. And so we'll start off with the first game at hand, the Eagles and Redskins. Now, Darius, what is the first thing that you thought about when you first saw this team touch the field? Because I'm pretty sure, like everybody else, we were surprised at the end of the result about what Chip Kelly brought to the NFL field.
I mean, Chip Kelly pretty much just silenced all the critics. I mean, dude comes in here and installs this college football offense. Everybody thinks it's going to fail. 33 points. Redskins? Come on now.
It was a big shock to see how well, we were talking the other day on Monday about how we thought the Redskins defense were going to dominate this offensive line, and you know what? This offensive line is pretty damn good, to be honest. I mean, for the most part, they were holding up their own and actually fitting this scheme that Chip Kelly runs, and they are athletic. I mean, Jason Peters is one of the best left tackles, and Lane Johnson was drafted there because of his athleticism, being a former quarterback and now transferring to be a tackle in the NFL. And then they switched up their O-line. They put Todd Herman, Greg Mathis into the guard positions, and I don't know who their center is because Danny Watkins is no longer on the team. But besides the fact, how did you like their offense touching the field?
I think Michael Vick really impressed the hell out of me. I didn't expect him to come out there all comfortable, poised, throwing accurate passes, moving around in the pocket, not turning the ball over. Something I'm shocked the RG3 was doing for most of the game.
Yes, I mean, as a big discussion I've been hearing through...
And LaShawn McCoy. Great performance.
Yes, he to me is going to be the superstar of this offense more than anything else. No matter what quarterback, I feel like no matter what quarterback you're going to have in there, because Chip Kelly's obviously going to have a mobile quarterback in there. I don't see Matt Barkley or Nick Foles fitting this offensive scheme because they don't really have the athleticism or the arm strength as Michael Vick does to hit his receivers. But LaShawn McCoy is a beast, and he is going to be amazing in this offense. I mean, you saw it. He had 31 carries for 184 yards and a highlight play of hurdling over a defender. But, I mean, it was something else this game.
Shady McCoy?
Yes. And not only did Michael Vick, he went 15 of 25 for 203 yards, 8.1 yards averaging, and 2 touchdowns. That is pretty damn good for Michael Vick, because Michael Vick is usually not really one to be very accurate or very, good passer ever since before he came to the Eagles. But now with this offense, he's saying they're feeling a lot better. But, I mean, tell me about, this whole intensity, because, I mean, I saw on the sidelines Chip Kelly and the players. I mean, they looked like they were just having the time of their life beating the Redskins.
It's something Chip Kelly wanted to do in the offseason. He wanted to make his team comfortable with him. He wanted to, at the beginning of the offseason, players talked about how much they liked him and stuff like that, how much he's a player's coach. They were playing music in the background in practice, getting comfortable with each other.
Yeah. That was I saw that prevalent. I mean, Deshaun Jackson jumping up, giving him a chest bump, everybody being happy, everybody smiling all the time. It feels like they're at college, like it's a big old frat party. But it's not the first time you've seen this in NFL. You've seen this in 2 other teams in the NFC, And they're in the NFC West, the Seahawks and 49ers having their two college coaches. I mean, you see Pete Carroll bring his intensity and how the Seahawks just look like they're just having the time of their life every time they play because they're completely dominating teams. But let's talk about the other team in this game that completely was out of the question, the worst team out of the two, which was the Washington Redskins. Where was Robert Griffin the first quarter? Where did he go?
Robert Griffin was still trying to catch up with the rest of his team. I mean, he played no preseason games. Everybody expected him to come out there, ready to go, throwing touchdown passes everywhere, running all over the football field. But when you have no play time in the preseason, that's what happens. He was rusty. Shame on Mike Shanahan.
That is true. Mike Shanahan was too much worried about his glass box that he has at quarterback and wanted to protect him all through this preseason. And to the people who still believe to this day that preseason doesn't matter, let me tell you, it does matter. You need to get your repetition, you need to get your chemistry with your receivers, your playmakers, and everybody on the field. Because, if you're running out there with your third-string quarterback and he's not even going to touch the field maybe once in the whole season, what's the use of that getting him with the first-string starters? But that's a big point. Everybody's saying that preseason doesn't matter. Mike Shanahan was smart not to sit him out. I guess not, because RG3 hadn't played since he got injured, and then he hasn't touched the NFL field. It hasn't been like that. And he's been telling everybody that it doesn't matter, but obviously it does. And you saw in the second half, he actually did come back. He actually did take his team under, believe it was within 5 points of the game. But
just imagine if he plays at least a third preseason game. I mean, maybe they don't come out there so flat.
Exactly.
Turning the ball over. I mean, it wasn't pretty.
It was not. And the thing about him is, John Gruden made a very good point about the game. He's not stepping up in his throws the whole night. He was not. He was flat-footed and always on his tippy toes and not falling through, putting all into his arm strength, into the plays, into his throws, and it was shown. And he threw 2 interceptions in the game. Both were very costly because that Oregon offense, obviously, that's not even Oregon out there. That's another kind of bird. That's the Eagles offense out there. They take advantage of that, and they ran 150 plays that game.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. That is insane. I'm telling you, anybody who went to that game got their money's worth. That was an excellent game to start off. It would have been a very good game if it was in Philadelphia, but sorry, Redskin fans, you just got to witness a new offense, and that's what happens when you bench your quarterback. Now, the stats of that game, I already said about Michael Vick, but Robert Griffin, he went 30 for 49 passing, 329 yards, 6.7, and then he threw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He has numbers, he has a stats, but the 2 picks, that's what screwed the offense this one. And you had Alfred Morris. I got scared that he was going to suffer from a sophomore slump at the beginning of the game. I was like, oh man, him and David Wilson are having a competition of who's going to fumble the ball first the next game. But he went 12 attempts for 45 yards, 3.8, and 15 was his longest, and 1 touchdown. How did you feel about Alfred Morris's play that game?
And go those stats again.
He went 12 attempts, 45 yards, 3.8 a carry, and 15 was his longest run, and 1 touchdown. Coming from the second leading rusher in the NFL last year, just behind Mr. AP.
I think this whole Redskins, besides the defense at the beginning, I think this Redskins team was pretty flat coming out. I think they were caught off guard for everything that was going on. They never recovered till the end. Alfred Morris, 45 yards. I mean, that's not so bad considering what was going on. Considering the fact they had to play catch up all game long. But I expect greater things from him in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, I expect him, but they have a tough test. They are at Lambeau Field next week at Green Bay. We'll get our predictions on a later date, but that would probably be a very tough game for that offense.
The Green Bay Packers, who got torched by Colin Kaepernick, 400 yards.
Well, that is true. Maybe this is their game where, they need the gel, but, it is going to be a shootout, and I feel like the player who's going to make the interception or who's going to make the mistake first that's going to be the team that wins. But let's go into receiving. I had Deshaun Jackson. He had 7 catches for 104 yards, averaging 14.1 yards per catch, and 26 was his longest, and 1 touchdown. How do you feel about those stats? I feel like Deshaun Jackson's finally coming back.
I feel like he's just doing what he always does against the Redskins.
That is true. He is always like to pick on the Redskins, especially I believe it was 2 seasons ago when they destroyed LaRon Landry back there. They told him they're going to throw deep on the first play, and that's exactly what they did. They threw deep, and he had I believe it was like a 80-yard touchdown, something of that matter. But Deshaun Jackson, this is no surprise. He's having a big game. He was a big playmaker all since he was a rookie. So he's finally gelling with Michael Vick. They're pretty good teammates together. On the receiving side, I believe it was Leonard Hankerson was the better receiver that game. He had 5 catches, 80 yards, 16 yards was averaging, and his longest was 27. He had 2 touchdowns. Leonard Hankerson is coming up. He's been a rookie. He's been in this league, I believe, 3 years now. But obviously, I believe he's probably the better receiver. Oh, no, he's not, because Pierre Garçon is, but Pierre Garçon had only 7 for 64 yards. 17 was his longest, no touchdowns. Where were the tight ends in this game? I saw Brett Selleck actually had 2 catches, but the Redskins, they said Fred Davis was coming up. He wasn't playing this game, was he? He didn't seem like it.
Well, Fred Davis had a few catches in there. You can't get too caught up on stats. They were playing down. They were looking for the big play a lot for the most part throughout the second half. Fred Davis's role pretty much diminished in the second half.
That's true. With this offense, it can be explosive at times, but the main point of this, the Redskins and Eagles, I just want to wrap this up about this game, was the fact that that offense is catching up with RG3 because the fact that he did not show up to the game. He didn't show up the first half because he wasn't playing preseason. So, it is what it is, and that's it. Now, let's go to the better game of the night, I believe. Well, not really. It depends on your point of view. Houston Texans at the San Diego Chargers. Texans 31, San Diego 28. Now, let me tell you this. Watching the game last night, in the first play of the game, I thought the Texans of old were coming back to haunt us. We're coming back to the NFL and saying we're going 6-10 or 8-8 this season. And the first play of the game was a tip pass and an interception. And the first play on offense for San Diego was a wheel route touchdown. And I was saying, pressing the button, Houston, we have a problem. How did you feel about this, Darius, the first half showing of the Texans?
First half, I'm guessing the Houston Texans probably thought Phillip Rivers and the Chargers weren't going to show up like they did in preseason. And Phillip Rivers just said, no, I'm not having this. I'm a gamer. I'm going to go out here and put it all on the line, and I'm going to show y'all who the boss is. That's just what they did the first half. Second half, Houston Texans made adjustments. The Chargers scored one more time, and that was all she wrote.
Now, this isn't the first time we've seen the Chargers forget that there is 2 more quarters after the first half. They feel like the game's always over at the halftime. But yes. But the Texans, Matt Schaub, one thing I did see improvement of Matt Schaub, it's not really way better than I've seen him before, is he actually can a little bit move out the pocket now. He's not as slow as he used to be, but guaranteed he was probably one of the slowest quarterbacks in the NFL. But he actually got out of the pocket and avoided pressure, not usually giving up a sack by just throwing his body down. But we actually did see that this game. But the Texans defense, I made a comment about this yesterday with you about saying if they let up more than 2 touchdowns to this no-name offense that the Chargers have, I feel pretty scared about it. And the Phillip Rivers threw 4 touchdowns this game. How did you feel about this Texans defense? Where was J.J. Watt? I mean, his presence was felt until the fourth quarter or second half.
One thing I took away from this Texans game, this Texans defense hasn't really played much together throughout the preseason. This is their first time, really facing, this is their first time really facing live action throughout the whole entire game with all their starters. And you know what? They don't even have Ed Reed in there yet. They don't have Antonio Smith in there yet. The Texans defense is only going to get better. I think this is just typical first game of the season. Texas defense, they really showed up to the end. I think they're gonna play a lot better in the near future.
I also feel that way too, because prevalent in the fourth quarter, the Texans defense showed up and they played big. And Mr. Money Man himself, Brian Cushing, one of my favorite linebackers in the NFL, showed up and he had the play of the game. He had his pick six, the first ever touchdown of his career, and his 8th interception. How did you feel about Brian Cushing's return this game?
Brian Cushing really expect me. Brian Cushing really. Pause.
No, keep going. I can cut it out.
What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, impressed. Wow. Yeah, Brian Cushing really impressed me in this game. This is his first game back since week 5 of last year. Torn ACL, MCL, something like that. I mean, dude showed up. He did. Brian Cushing didn't really make a lot of tackles. He didn't really make a lot of big plays. But in the fourth quarter, he showed up. Pick six. Turn the game around. Game was already turned around, but he pretty much put an exclamation point on it.
Right, he sure did. Now, about this this offense I saw for the Chargers was a lot of, no names. I mean, Malcolm Floyd was there. But, Ryan Matthews, they were running the ball at first, and I was thinking, like everybody else, like, is Ryan Matthews actually coming back? But then there's a thing called the second half, and the Chargers forget about that, like I said before, and they did not show up. But let's talk about a bigger stud on the other side of the offense, Mr. Andre Johnson. This dude had ice in his veins.
Andre Johnson, that ageless wonder. Oh, my God.
This dude had ice in his veins in the fourth quarter. I mean, I'm going to just tell you this stat, and I don't need to tell you any about other the receivers besides Owen Daniels. He had 2 touchdowns. But Andre Johnson, 12 catches for 146 yards, averaged about 12.2 yards a play, and 27 yards was his longest play. Tell me about how clutch this man is, Darius.
Andre Johnson is truly one of the greatest of all time. I mean, 19 games of at least 10 or more receptions. That's most in NFL history. I think tonight he pretty much solidified his place in the Hall of Fame. Andre Johnson just keeps on. Andre Johnson keeps on putting up big numbers. Keeps on coming in through the clutch, producing like he always does, like he always has done. DeAndre Hopkins really impressed me a little bit too. The young rookie out of Clemson, first round pick.
Yeah,
he made a few catches here and there on third downs, picked up a few first downs. I mean, Texans.
I have to say that DeAndre Hopkins he really impressed me this first game. He actually drew coverages to him, and this dude has yet to catch a ball in his first game, and he let other receivers get open. That's what I saw about the Andre Johnson catch. I mean, it was 3rd and 18, I believe. And how do you not cover Andre Johnson? That is the best receiver on the field. And him and DeAndre Hopkins, I believe it was a deep out route in the middle. And they both ran the same route. And they bit more on DeAndre, made sure he didn't get the ball. And what happened? Andre Johnson comes up with the ball and converts that third down play.
You know what? Last year, Andre Johnson may not make that catch. He probably does, but it's possible he may not make that catch. Kevin Walter, you don't see anybody double teaming Kevin Walter. You have to account for DeAndre Hopkins. You have to account for Owen Daniels, Gary Graham, and you have to watch out for Aaron Foster. Now, I think Andre Johnson may have an even better season than he did last year, just because of that fact.
Exactly, because I mean, you look at this game, and what I took away from the most, I'm like, I would think more DeAndre Hopkins is going to get the more open looks because it's Andre Johnson. I mean, come on now. He's probably arguably one of the top 3 receivers in the NFL right now. And you're telling me you're not going to cover him out of all people? He has sure hands. He's a big body receiver. You know he's going to catch the ball. And Andre Johnson was open all over the field. In the fourth quarter, he helped set up the game-winning field goal. And DeAndre Hopkins, the thing about Gary Kubiak, I call him the Mike Shanahan of receivers. Not really, I call him the Tom Coughlin of receivers. Where if the receiver starts messing up, he is not going to go back to that rookie receiver ever. He's going to take him out the game, and I'm not going to throw it past you for a long time. And DeAndre Hopkins, when he was thrown to, he caught the ball. This dude has amazing hands. He converted a big 3rd down and 13 play when he scooped the ball up before he even hit the ground. This dude has nice hands. But and then the thing is, not only did he leave Andre Johnson open, I mean, he gave Owen Daniels two touchdowns. Garrett Graham is an emerging tight end I like, but Gary Kubiak knows how to use tight ends in this game. But let's talk about this, this running game that I saw lack of. I mean, you have Aaron Foster, one of the arguably also better running backs in the game, 57 yards yesterday. How do you feel about that, the rushing game?
Once again, I think this is a case of the Houston Texans, trying to fight their way back up, down 3 touchdowns. Aaron Foster had a few good runs here and there. Ben Tate, I think Ben Tate actually did better. I think Ben Tate was actually hungrier in this game. But where they both combined for over 100 yards. I mean, hey, got the W. That's all that really matters. I think Aaron Foster improves as the year goes along. This is actually his first game back, as well as RG3's. Aaron Foster did play not one game in the preseason, hamstring injury. Hey, the sky's the limit for what he can do this year. I'm expecting bigger things from him. And Ben Tate, maybe he'll get back to the 2011 form where he rushed for 949 yards.
Yes, and Ben Tate also know it is in his contract year, and he wants his money, like Mr. Brian Cushing. Now that that's over with, let's go on to the topic of our team of the week, and that's spelled with a W-E-E-K. That means the better team this week. Well, who do we thought was very good, Darius? Tell me about your team and why are they the best? Why do you think they're the best team of the week?
I mean, I would go with the obvious choice, the Denver Broncos, but you know what? I'm about to go with the team that I didn't think would do so well running a college football offense, and that's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean,
oh wow,
Michael Vick came out there, picked apart the Redskins defense. Deshaun Jackson made a bunch of big plays. Defense held the Redskins to 7 points at the half. I mean, they almost gave up. They almost allowed them to come back. But it's all about the final score.
All right, wow. I did not see that one coming. But I got to make the obvious choice, and I'm gonna just say it for you. The Denver Broncos just surprised me. Not really surprised me that much. I mean, I thought Peyton Manning, he's going to put up points. I'm going to say like about 31-28. I think that was the score. But 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. This Broncos offense is deadly. I'm talking about they have weapons everywhere for the eyes can see. Wes Welker, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Decker. Now the emergence of Julius Thomas. I swear if they get a running game, who's going to stop this team besides themselves? This team is a beast, and their defense is mean. And let me tell you this, that defense played exceptionally well without Von Miller. Now that's scary, and without Champ Bailey. Now you tell me that is something else. But now let me tell you about a rookie defensive player that me and Darius believe is the defensive rookie of the week, Mr. Duke Incognito. I don't care if he's not a defensive rookie, but let me tell you about this kid. I saw him ball at San Jose State. This dude can play. Dude led the team in tackles for the Denver Broncos, which, I mean, you can't expect much else from a strong safety, but he made plays all over this field. Tell me, Darius, about your young man, Mr. Duke Incognito.
I think Duke Nacho, I believe his name is.
Oh, Incognito Nacho, something like that.
He actually had a very good game. I mean, Duke was flying around, making plays, making tackles all over the field, breaking up passes. I believe Duke Nacho is only going to get better in this league. I think the Denver Broncos found a great young safety in Duke Nacho.
Or Mr. Raheem Magic Moore, as he likes to call himself, has yet to live up to his second-round pick, and he said they rated him as the number 1 safety coming out in his draft class. And also everybody knows about the big play he gave up against Jacoby Jones. But besides the fact, there is another safety I actually do like for the Broncos. I don't know where he's at. I don't know if he's hurt. I mean, you probably know more about this, but Mr. Carter, I believe, number 28, he played at Oklahoma.
Quinn Carter, I believe. Quinn Carter must be hurt because I don't see him out there on the field. He's a playmaker. I'm not sure why he didn't play.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like him a lot better than Raheem Moore. I mean, I don't know if they play the same safety spot or who's playing on whose side. But Raheem Moore, I'm sorry, you may about to get benched for this young guy coming up. And I like this Broncos DB crew. It's very underrated outside the fact of Champ Bailey. They think it's only just Champ Bailey out there. No, you got Dominic Rodgers.
Interesting note, they have 11 defensive backs on this football team.
That is something that is very good that you pointed out because you need defensive backs in this league nowadays for this offense. Now let's go to our offensive rookie of the week. And who do you have, Darius?
I am going to go with E.J. Manuel. I think I actually think E.J. Manuel outplayed Tom Brady. E.J. Manuel didn't make any crucial mistakes, put his team in position to win. At the end of the game, the defense was the one that let him down, and the Patriots win.
Wow, I did not see that coming. I'm actually, I didn't really do my research for the offensive rookie of the week. I left that one up to you. But, wow, he actually, I saw the game. He was actually pretty good. I am also impressed by him. But he actually did take this team. It has a very lackluster offense outside of C.J. Spiller. You do have playmaker Stevie Johnson, but, like you said before, this is the NFL League. What have you done for me lately? Steven Johnson is, Mr. Jokester a lot. He likes to play around, but besides the fact, E.J. Manuel may take this team by the leash and say, this is my team, and I'm going to ball with them.
E.J. Manuel, 2 touchdown passes. One to Stevie Johnson, one to Robert Woods.
Well, there's some USC pride right there. Now, let's go to the team of the week. Who was would that spell with the W-E-A-K, the team that needs to step up, or a team that just flat out did not even show up to the game? But let me tell you this, guys, a disclaimer, we're not going to pick the Jaguars. Everybody knows that's going to be the team of the week for all 17 weeks, including their bye.
Well, you know what? It's either out of the Minnesota Vikings and the San Diego Chargers. I'm going to take the San Diego Chargers. You have a 21-point lead at home once again with the second year in a row, and you give it up at home. Makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. Phillip Rivers, you come out there, 4 touchdown passes, don't even show up in the second half. What's up with that?
So who do you think needs to step up out of that team? Who needs to tell this team, hey, I need to win? Is it the coach? Is it a player? Who do you think?
I think the entire team needs to step up. Nobody showed up in the second. You look at that game. Nobody really showed up in the second half. The offense didn't score. They scored out the gate on the opening series of the second half. Defense, they did absolutely nothing. They literally let the Texans come back on them. 14 unanswered points. Defense scores once the offense gets the ball back for the Chargers. That entire team needs to step up. This is a character issue for the Chargers, not finishing games. You look at the game against the Ravens last year, 4th and 29. The Chargers give up the big play to Ray Rice. This is the character issue for this team.
Yes, I think they believe in themselves too much. I'm going my team of the week. It has to be the Washington Redskins. As much as they played, RG3, come on, man. The way your press game conferences, you need to step up, my friend. You love the spotlight. You're kind of like a good guy, Johnny Manziel. You're married. You have all these degrees. You went to Baylor. You're getting a nice, whatever your doctorate degree is and whatever it is. It don't matter. Besides, the point is, don't tell me that you don't need preseason, my friend. You need it as bad as anybody else out there in the field, and it showed. You need to step up in this game. You, my friend, are the one that I am spotlight. Not Mike Shanahan, not Alfred Morris. It's you, because, my friend, you may head it into a sophomore slump, and I agree with some of the analysts I heard in some of the rumors. You are the 4th best young quarterback out there. The 4th one. I have number 1. I have Russell Wilson. Number 2 is Colin Kaepernick, and I have put Andrew Luck above you due to the fact of how he improved his stats on his team. I looked up, and I realized that Robert Griffin actually passed less than his team after they drafted him. The year before him, they were actually, I believe, they threw more yards without him, and they had Rex Grossman. And now RG3, you need to be careful on your running. You need to take care of that knee. But you have to have confidence in yourself. Don't be too scared. I understand you're made out of glass, but you know what? Be smart with your plays. When you learn how to run outside the box, you better slide, and you better take it easy. But step up in your throws, my young man. You need to step up for this team because that defense was mean, and Ryan Kerrigan and Brian Orakpo are there to help you out. And so is Alfred Morris. But Redskins, you're the team of the week with that performance, that first half performance.
Nicely said.
But, the ironic thing is, you have the Chargers as team of the week because of their lack of second half performance, and I have the Redskins team of the week because of their first half performance. So if the Redskins play the first half and the Chargers play the second half, I'm pretty sure there would be a horrendous team on the field.
Play a complete game and you won't be team of the week.
Exactly. The one thing I need to preach to these coaches is the fact that, you know what, there's a thing called 4 quarters. You know, there's a thing called a second half. You need to play it. You know, well, Darius, I know it's obvious. Who is the MVP of week 1?
Peyton freaking Manning. PFM, as they call him in Denver, Colorado.
Mr. Peyton Manning, a.k.a. the mayor of Denver, Colorado, also the senator of Colorado itself, right behind John Elway as El Presidente. Let me tell you this about Peyton Manning. You threw 7 touchdowns. When's the last time that's been done, Darius? I believe it was
1969.
1969.
I wasn't even thought of.
And I mean, are you kidding me? You telling me that these offenses this year, that Drew Brees has yet to even do that Aaron Rodgers or any of these other elite quarterbacks have yet to step up and do 7 touchdowns? Peyton Manning has stepped above everybody else and showed that he can actually throw, and actually he's back from his injury, and last year wasn't just a fluke.
You know what? I mean, you look at this offense, you got Demarius Thomas, 1,400 yards last year, 10 touchdowns. You got Eric Decker, 13 touchdowns last year. Wes Welker, we know what he does. All he does is catch passes. All he does is make plays. Got Julius Thomas. Nobody really knew about him. Guess what? He's a former basketball player. He's a freak athlete. I mean, 2 touchdowns for him. First game, right out the gate, making plays, scoring touchdowns. This offense, like you said earlier, they get a run game. The sky's the limit to what they can do. They can break all kinds of records. Week 1, broke the passing record. What's next?
What's next is probably Peyton Manning. He's probably going to throw 50 touchdowns this year. He's probably going to break Tom Brady's record of 50 touchdowns, unless that was already been broken off yet. I don't know about that.
I mean, hey, he's on pace for, 120?
Already, 120 touchdowns with no picks. That's what he's on pace for. But I have to say he is MVP. No doubt about it. Give him the trophy now.
So what about your defensive MVP? Who would that be?
Defensive MVP, I mean, I can go with my obvious choice was Brian Cushing because this dude came up in the clutch. But I really, it's really a toss-up. I really want to lean forward to Brian Cushing. I didn't really see another defensive player MVP step up in a big game, help win the game for him. But Brian Cushing, because due to the fact he actually did step up, he lived up to his paycheck that the Houston Texans did sign him in, which was the smartest move that organization has done so far. Because if you let Brian Cushing go, that means you have the biggest hole ever on the defense. That means you have no linebackers to cover anybody else. You have no linebackers or an intensity or the clutchness of a linebacker. That's what Brian Cushing brings. He had that pick 6, and he took it to the house, his first ever touchdown return. Interception return for a touchdown. Mr. USC himself.
My defensive player of the week, I'm going to have to go with, it's a toss-up between Justin Houston and Robert Quinn. I'm going to have to go with Robert Quinn. Robert Quinn, St. Louis Rams, Robert Quinn made the play that gave the Cardinals the ball to score the game-winning field goal. 3 sacks, forced fumble. He stayed in that backfield all day long. Robert Quinn, the upcoming defense player in this league, I think he's going to be great for the Rams.
Yes, I like Robert Quinn. I actually liked him a lot coming out of college with that North Carolina. Everybody talks. All that team was suspended. All their big playmakers were suspended that year, and that defense was nasty. But one topic I actually want to talk about Robert Quinn, a very interesting subject, and I wanted us to bring it up, and also want to bring it up to our listeners, was in that draft. Do you feel like that is the most biggest defensive, all around ballers on that draft? You look
Tell me about it.
There is so many potential Hall of Famers that can come from that draft. You
got the 1983 draft for quarterbacks. You know what? You have the 2011 draft, 2010, 2011 draft, whatever it was for pass rushers.
It's not just pass rushers; it's just defenders in general. Look at this draft. Let's just start off with the second overall pick. It's Von Miller. This dude is a beast. He is a matchup nightmare. People said, they're running a 4-3 defense. He doesn't fit the scheme. Guess who also played in a 4-3 defense, didn't fit that scheme? I believe his name was what was his name, from Thomas. He came from Alabama. He played for the Chiefs. He also wore the 58 piece, and that's what Von Miller reminds me of. He's very good player.
Then you have Alden Smith, J.J. White, Robert. Dude, the list goes on and on.
Not even that, a very underrated player that, he's not really underrated. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about him because of the position he plays, but Marcel Darius, this dude is nasty in the trenches. He played outside of his position, and now they said he fits very well in a 4-3 and a multi-defense and a 4-3 traditional defensive tackle. This dude is a monster. But then let's also go to other players we know about. Justin Houston was also in this draft.
He sacks last week.
And he is an emerging player. Not only that, but we have Mr. Adrian Peterson, a future lockdown corner, and he is a freak of a nature at cornerback. He is 6'1". I believe he stepped up his weight. He is at 215 now. Patrick Peterson is something else in this league also. But, he also has another baller, and then he played with him, Mr. Tyrann Mathieu also. But I like to put out that was a very good defensive draft that year.
And don't be surprised if we see Patrick Peterson playing some offense.
That is true. That is true. But speaking of the Chargers and their offense, they actually did a very good job on offense. Carson Palmer is actually emerging as a good quarterback. I mean, he never was that bad. I mean, he actually did put a 4,000 yards at the Raiders. I mean, it's the Raiders. Come on now. We really didn't even have receivers like that. But 4,000 yards is 4,000 yards. That's a lot. And then he has two good receivers. But Patrick Peterson, I guess you don't need to touch the field if you got a good offense. Any other points you would like to make about anything of the subject of football? Anything that you saw that stuck out to you?
Stuck out to me. Not really. We pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we did cover a lot of subjects. We only covered about the NFL, the Monday night game. That's what we were going to do today and cover our team of the week, and team of the week, who is the week one. And also our MVP. Oh, that's obvious. That was Peyton Manning. But also our rookies that we saw that needs to step up. How about this? Do you have a player individually that needs to step up for his team?
David Wilson, man. David Wilson. The Giants get rid of Ahmad Bradshaw because they see something in you. They think you're going to be the next big thing at running back in New York. And what do? You go out there and turn the ball over twice? I mean, that's what you do with your opportunity. You dominate in the preseason, but you get an opportunity in the regular season when it counts, and you turn the ball over twice. Get your team down early. Come on, man. Step it up.
My player is a quarterback, and it's pretty obvious, dude. To me, if I was the GM, this is your final year. You need to step up. Christian Ponder, get with the program, my friend. Listen, we gave you the weapons. You got an All-Pro Hall of Fame running back behind you, and you throw 3 picks in a game. 3 picks. You got an amazing tight end. I'm talking about Kyle Rudolph is going to be the next great tight end there is. He got the softest hands in the league. But other than that, you have Greg Jennings at wide receiver. You have Jerome Simpson. He's a very underrated playmaker. He may have off-the-field issues, but he can ball. Then you have Cordell Patterson, Mr. Playmaker himself. You could play running back. He might as well be the quarterback if he's that good of a playmaker. But Christian Ponder, you need to step up your game. Adrian Peterson, he may do it all. He could do it all day, but you know what? There's such thing as passing in this league, and you need to give the ball to your playmakers and win games for you. That was a close game at first against the Detroit Lions, who did not even really show up until the end of the game until Reggie Bush took that team by the collar. But Christian, you need to address this team and become the leader that they drafted you to be. You were supposed to be the guy that replaced Brett Favre, and I know that is very hard to do once that dude left. But let me tell you, Christian, this is your time to shine. We gave you the team. We gave you an offensive line. I'm talking about this offensive line is nasty. You got Matt Khalil, one of the great young left tackles here, and you got a very good Landholt, I believe that's his name, at right tackle. This dude is a mauler. But you got a defense that can keep you kind of in games. You got an offense that could be completely deadly. If it was any other quarterback in this league, well, besides Blaine Gabbert and Mark Sanchez and any other Jets QB, they would win games. You need to step up, Christian Ponder, because you will be on a hot seat.
And a player that did step up, a player that showed out this week, that dominated this week, I'm going to go with Anquan Boldin. Anquan Boldin, 13 catches, 200-plus yards. Why in the hell did the Ravens get rid of him? And what did they give up to get him? A fourth-round pick, I believe?
Not even a fourth-round pick. Let me tell you this. They gave him up for a sixth-round pick.
Oh, man, that's an insult. That's an insult. And you know, imagine if the Ravens held Boldin Thursday night against the Broncos. They probably still would have lost, but maybe not as bad. I mean, Anquan Boldin is a playmaker. He is a beast. He is not your average NFL wide receiver. This dude right here is going to go down as one of the nastiest wide receivers in NFL history. Dude is a monster. Couldn't be stopped Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. Colin Kaepernick has a nice weapon.
Yeah, that was the big question about Colin Kaepernick, is the fact that who's going to be his receiver without Michael Crabtree. And let me tell you, Anquan Boldin, one thing that you always said about him, he's open when he's not open. He is open when he's covered. This dude is going to manhandle you at the line of scrimmage. This dude is a beast. He might as well be playing safety, too. This dude is mean. I like him a lot, and I also like that pick of yours. He did step up this week while everybody else doubted him. And I believe the Ravens did not want to re-sign him because they didn't want to give him $2 million. $2 million. $2 million. And you know what they say they want to invest that into their defense because everybody left. Now, let me tell you this. What happened to that defense? I don't think it was there. What happened to that $2 million they needed to spend? It was gone. I'll tell you that much. By the way, quick point about it. Also, another couple players that were in that 2011 draft that actually stood out. There's actually, Ryan Kerrigan was actually in there in that draft.
Out of Purdue.
Also Purdue. Cameron Jordan. A lot of people may not know him unless you're a good Saints fan, unless you're very deep. He's a very good defensive end that came from Cal. Very good. He actually fits their scheme very well. Adrian Claiborne, very good player also, came from there. Akeem Ayers actually stepping up. A lot of people actually did not like him coming out of college and leaving early. Titans also, they're kind of a team that they play good defense, but, they don't have an offense. And the Steelers, they don't even know what football is anymore. And that's weird to say coming from the Steel City doesn't know what football is.
They know what football is on defense, I can tell you that.
Yes, they actually do.
Really missing Mike Wallace right now.
They probably are, and the thing is Mike Wallace didn't show up for the Dolphins, so I guess Mike Wallace is missing Ben Roethlisberger too. But, they got $60 million. He got $60 million. He could send him a nice gift, I guess. But I don't know any other subjects to talk about, unless you want to talk about college football. I have nothing else to say. Nothing else to say.
You know what? We can leave college football for another day.
That's true.
Or a different one, different podcast.
Yeah, that is true. But, that is all for me and Darius today. We'll come back on another day, we'll go more in depth about what we saw, what players we like, a little bit more in detail about the games we saw. I'm sorry that we couldn't get a podcast out on Monday about our real ideas, but that was our test podcast. This may be our first podcast going up, and I believe this is a great start to something that may come out for a long time. And we're going to be here all 17 and plus and all the way till next year's. Nah, maybe not. Well, I'll go into a clinical depression once the NFL starts playing games after the Super Bowl. I won't be around, going back to drinking, and then we're going to all wait till April. But you guys don't have to wait that long. I'm Gerardo, and that's Darius, and we are the first football podcast. This is our first football podcast. And send us names. What are we going to name this podcast? But other than that, we'll see you next time.